This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody to the June 26th Marion County Commission meeting. Begin with public forum. Any public comments? If you're online wishing to make a public comment, unmute your mic.
There is a microphone unmuted, but I don't know. There's not a name there yet.
You hear him talking now.
All right, we'll close public forum and move into agenda approval. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? County Councilor will not be here.
5-minute personnel performance.
Okay, and Commissioner Dahlke said he'll be about 15 minutes late. So we'll proceed with administrative business. Let's move on into that right now.
Okay, just a moment. Let me see. Okay, sorry. Trying to get that, there's something funky happening with the meeting there.
Okay.
All right, in your packet, it's down the way there a little bit. We have 2 sets of meetings for June 20th and then 1 set of minutes for the 23rd.
Move to approve.
Can we do them separate?
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring to do June 20th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Crowfoot, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 3, 1 abstained since I wasn't there.
Okay.
That's why I asked for a separate.
And then June 23rd.
Motion to approve. Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 4-0.
Okay. There's one, and then there's each side of this. Thank you.
Minutes.
We do have some change orders. I didn't have this in your packet. They're prior, I think they're effective prior years. It's for the 2022 tax roll.
You want Randy to sign those?
It doesn't matter.
There's just one,
Oh,
actually. Could just leave them on his desk. We'll send it to fly over. All right, we have a salary change. We have a new administrative specialist in the treasurer's office, Joyce Ryder, starting at $2,491 per month, effective June 19th. You're welcome aboard.
the other items that I had on here for road and bridge time, so we can probably wait for that.
Okay.
I have an approval for, the second payment on Kansas, and then the authorization that was in your packet.
Let's
so.
do those, Road Bridge.
Okay, let's see.
You want to sit in front?
In front?
But-
There?
Yeah.
Well, you guys were waiting for me?
No, no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you'll have to wait on us.
Yeah, we don't
Oh,
have to wait on us,
you got time to get settled. That way you can settle in that spot.
Just sit there and be quiet.
Yeah, I can do that. You can tell I used to work for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything else right now for administrative.
Okay.
I do have agenda time for this
Okay.
at 1:30, or whenever,
Oh, right there it
Lisa's
is.
finished,
I see.
yeah.
Well, Lisa's here. If there's nothing else on administrative, we're ready.
Okay,
Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
you.
Thank you.
It's Randy here.
Sorry.
You'll be here a little
Yes,
late
right.
since you got these, didn't have a watch.
There was some going since you started.
Yes, you can have a copy. Alrighty, my name is Lisa Suderman, for anyone who doesn't know. I work as a watershed management specialist for the EPA. I also work for the district, primarily in federal contract management there. I'm also a member of the Neosho Regional Advisory Committee. That's a governor-appointed committee. We work in the capacity in that we are predominantly focused on the Neosho region, which is far northwest Marion County, down to Grand Lake of the Cherokee. I currently sit as the vice chair of that committee. I had to go to the Kansas Water Authority meeting in Dodge City, Kansas on June 7th. In the meeting materials for that meeting, there was something that I had never seen before. And it was an Evergy request for an extension of the water purchase contract by Wolf Creek Nuclear Generating Station. The source of that water supply has predominantly always been John Redmond. There's never been a problem with that. But in addition to them wanting to negotiate that, in addition to the extension, the Kansas Water Office, I love the verbiage, will need to incorporate the use of uncommitted water marketing storage in Marion Reservoir to satisfy the contractual quantity. That has never happened before. And so I contacted the Kansas Water Office just to find out if that had ever been done before, and that has never been done before. So that put me on alert, just because they're wanting water downstream, and I had wondered if this wasn't gonna come up eventually. In the meeting, Nate Westrup did ask the Kansas Water Advisory Council for permission to begin negotiation on that contract. Over to the right on that page of the memo, I have his quote, which is, "The request to begin negotiations was approved," that's my part. "The proposal will be going after 19% of the conservation storage level," and a direct quote from Nate Westrup, "Marion Reservoir has been underutilized and demands are blowing up downstream in the region." My personal opinion is that this is simply to set precedents and to get an encumbrance on the lake here. Contrary to what most people believe, the water behind that dam does not belong to the Corps of Engineers. It belongs to the state of Kansas. The state of Kansas has paid up their contract and they own that water. They're currently working on Perry Lake, Hillsdale, and Milford to get those contracts paid also. So the people that own the water are not in Washington, they're actually in Topeka. The next page is the surplus water available in the water marketing program for 2023. This is, it has all of the lakes that they own the water in, but I just put Marion in there. The majority of the water in that lake is not accounted for except for the city of Marion, city of Peabody, and the city of Hillsborough. That's it. There's no other draw that we have on that. There's no other legal contract that we have to go on that. We don't have an irrigation district. We have nothing else. It's simply those three. I did speak with the city administrator for the city of Marion because their contract is coming up in October. And he has been told by Nate at the Kansas Water Office that they are not allowed to increase their allotment. So I found that very interesting that Marion's not allowed to increase it because they have to show an actual need. This contract is gonna extend for 40 years.
How long?
40.
Okay. So we can't.
40.
We can't grow for 40 years?
4 years, 40 years. So, yes, we wanna make sure that the assurance is there that we have it, but I was surprised that they wouldn't allow them to increase it, especially with the current going on. The other thing that I don't think people know about is the water assurance districts. The Cottonwood Neosho Water Assurance District has been in place since 1996. And going to this page right here, the most telling thing for me is the allocation above John Redmond. We have got Hillsborough, Peabody, and Marion. Allocations below John Redmond, there's a lot of them. Where you have the maximum authorized and you have the maximum since 1995, we've never maxed out our allotments. If you look over to the allocations below John Redmond, their city's already maxing. I've been to 3 ribbon cuttings for factories that are going in southeast Kansas in the last 3 years. So their water allotments are going to increase exponentially. My suggestion, and this is only a suggestion, but I would like to put forward that, at least I went on record to suggest this. There is a supply access program in the Lower Smoky. Now that requires releases from Canopolis to assure the people that are members of this water supply access program that they will always have water from Canopolis no matter what. It's actually a statute, 2011. I'm not sure that Marion County doesn't need to have a water supply access program for retention. Not releases, but for retention. So I included the statutes, how it was written. It's an actual taxing entity. It's an actual entity that has board members and all those kinds of things. The last page is from the Salina Journal. It basically explains the access district and how that works to benefit the access members for having water as they need it downstream. I do know that Senator Jerry Moran has been made aware of this situation, and darned if he didn't bounce it right back into my court. He said, "I'm pretty sure Lisa knows more about this than anybody would," but, and that is about a bit out of his realm, but I would suggest that Marion County contact our state representatives about this, because I know that you guys, no one was told about this. The only reason I know about this is because I was on this committee, and I happened to be replacing the chairman because he was on vacation by going to that meeting. That to me is a little bit frightening. I don't know how much revenue the reservoir brings into Marion County, but I feel like we're kind of known for that, our lake. So I think it's fairly vital that we try and protect it as much as we possibly can.
Well, not only the recreational aspect, but the public water supply. We've got to protect.
Future
that.
industry. I mean,
Right.
Right.
we don't
Because
have.
that is our public water supply for
Yeah.
3 cities in
Well,
Marion.
it could potentially be more than that. I mean, keep talking about the that little finger that comes over here, just, you gotta go deeper and deeper to hit it.
Yeah.
So eventually, they're gonna have to take some infrastructure back up to the northwest.
Right, and with my being in these meetings, obviously, we cover the entire state of Kansas. And so obviously, the need for water in western Kansas and what's going on with the ground management districts up there and how they're trying to conserve, because that is their only source of water up there. The other reason I think that this may just be setting precedents is because of something that happened last year. There is someone in western Kansas that got approval to run a tanker truck from western Kansas to the Missouri River. They pumped the tanker truck full of water and they hauled it back to western Kansas. That was for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to set a precedent so that they can't say, well, you've never done that before.
So just
No,
one
we've
vote.
done it.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
The other reason being is who says no to a nuclear power plant? So we're gonna sit here in Marion County and, we have to have it for the power plant. That was pulling out a big gun, because if they said Chautauqua needed our water downstream, that's not gonna carry as much water as
Right.
having the nuclear plant
Right.
say that they need it.
Right.
So, those are simply my opinions.
Could we get an irrigation district?
Oh, believe me, we've tried in our office. We have begged producers, and you literally only have to own 40 acres. 40 acres is all you need to own in that area to be able to set up an irrigation district, and we cannot get anybody to bite on it.
Why wouldn't they want to? What's the cost to them?
You basically have to have an engineer. All of it is run through the Kansas Water Office. They hook you up with an engineer. They put everything in place. The reason why I liked the access program is because you don't have to say it's for irrigation. It can be used for recreation. So but you can have irrigation also. So if you have this as an overriding body, you can pull in an irrigation district as it becomes needed after that.
So it leaves the most options.
It leaves the most options. The irrigation district, it would just be for irrigation. And once you have the allocation, you don't have to use it. It's simply out there as an encumbrance on that water. So that's the other thing, is you don't have to prove use of that. It's simply keeping it.
So if we pass a resolution, what kind of authority does that give us?
It's just another hurdle for them to have to break.
Well, I mean, is that all it is? Just a hurdle for them?
I think that, I think honestly, what needs to happen, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of it, honestly, what needs to happen is we need to have representatives from every community in Marion County that is benefiting from that lake, get a group of people together, have a meeting, and have people start talking about putting together an assurance area for that water in the lake. Because in my opinion, it affects everyone in the county, having that lake there. It needs to be something that's talked about. I am more than willing to talk to anybody who wants to talk about this, and they have online, you can go on, this is how you set up an area, this is what you have to do, these are the hoops you have to go through. We can help as much as we can out of our office and out of where I'm sitting in that office. But it's gonna take some proactive people that are in Marion County that are actively wanting to save that lake, because I am afraid that this is just the beginning.
Well, it sounds like the first step is gonna be to get some stakeholders involved and get them educated.
Yes, sir.
It sounds to me that our key stakeholders are gonna be the cities of Hillsborough, Peabody, and
I would say that would be the place to start. Get the city managers
Right.
involved.
That's what would Commissioner Becker, Commissioner Green want to get the Hillsborough City Administrator, and Commissioner Crowfoot get the Marion Administrator. So maybe start with those two and meet with Lisa, and maybe one.
Facilitate
yeah,
some
two-
kind of meeting
two
to start
commissioners
with,
there.
yes.
And educate them, because those communities have the most at stake. And Peabody,
do.
we're talking about access district for Peabody, for Marion County.
Yes.
But maybe get the representatives of those three communities together, at least at a start.
Sorry to be late, but is somebody trying to steal it?
Not
Yes.
steal it, they are, they're legally trying to put an encumbrance on an additional 19% of our water up here and send it downstream.
And Lisa's recommendation, she has she has a very good, well-planned process for an access.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's the wrong word.
it's a water supply access program.
Water supply act,
Like I
doesn't set
said-
up a district.
And this is not identical, because this is basically the people downstream from Canopolis assuring
Mhm.
releases. What I'm proposing is that we need to see if we can get a possible statute on file for here for retention. Obviously not to the point that's gonna cause issues with flooding, which is the Corps of Engineer area, but retention in the fact that we need it for recreation, irrigation, that type of thing.
How about just drinking water?
Right, they have to fulfill those contracts, but they can pull it down to the point that all they have to do is those 3 contracts, and that's it.
And that's a very small percentage of the total.
And you're
Very
I see
small.
you have a bunch of different entities here.
Mhm.
Is somebody working for the whole group, or are we all just gonna go do individual things, or?
Randy, turn the Randy shows us. Have some
Working
look
for
at
the
it.
whole group.
I mean, everybody depends on reservoirs in some places for
Mhm.
water.
Yes.
And
The Neosho Regional Advisory Council, we focus on the Neosho from here down to Grand Lake of the Cherokee. And then the other advisory councils, and then we ultimately put our suggestions for the Kansas water budget together for the advisory council. The Kansas water, they decide ultimately, but they require input and focus from our groups and what we're wanting to focus on.
I just sat here, I was city at that time when we first went to gonna go to the go to Hillsborough for the water and stuff like that. And it just seems like no matter what we get into in these reservoirs, you're just good for here. I don't understand, we got all of them, and it's federal, I understand that too.
No, it's
It's
state.
not.
Well,
The state
the
now.
water itself.
States, states just the water?
The state owns the water, they paid off their debt to the federal.
But whenever we doing these, it seems like, why don't the same rule apply to all? But everybody's gotta have little individual rules.
Well, and the other thing too is activity in the individual watersheds. You will see that there are definitely much more active and much more vocal groups. I know that Emporia is going after additional releases from Twin Lakes because they have Lake Cahola, which is supposed to be there to assure their public water supply. The property owners around Cahola are very concerned about that, because if they don't have a lake, which theoretically, they could drain Cahola to supply Emporia. So Emporia is working to have additional releases made from Twin Lakes to assure their water supply. So Cahola's been very vocal about the fact that they don't want their lake to go away. The other thing that I will tell you is that the Corps of Engineers has absolutely no management plan for the Marion Reservoir, meaning that they don't have a minimum amount to be maintained in there. There is no plan in place for Marion at all. When I asked about that, they said, we just haven't ever needed it. So the Corps of Engineers doesn't even have a base level. So there's not a management plan in place for that lake right now.
And the base level's probably done been covered up with silt.
We're actually silting it at a much less, at a much
Right.
slower rate than what was expected, and also much slower than the other lakes that are in our particular area. Obviously, we're 100% better than Milford, Tuttle, Redmond. We're doing very, very well here, considering what the plan was, what the 50-year plan was for the lake. We have a lot more water here, and I've heard this in enough meetings, we have a lot more water up here. And they've been talking about how much water we have up here for the last 5 years.
Send down.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like, well, come out them gates.
Few more reservoirs need to be built.
And that is also something that they've talked about. The majority of those are talking about in north central Kansas, about the additional waters coming off the Republican for storage up there. But the number of irrigation districts that they have to answer to in that area is phenomenal. So you have very interested parties up in that area.
Some of our Kansas and Nebraska have been fighting over forever, just like out in Arkansas.
Yeah, the other thing that came up too at the meeting, which doesn't have any bearing, but it does have to do with releases, is the water that Colorado is due the state of Kansas. What happens though is in that contract where Colorado has to release us a certain amount of water, is the fact that we didn't stipulate where that water came from. So what's happened is that they're taking water off of fields that have been, that are being farmed. They're pooling that water together, they're doing releases that are heavy in fertilizer, nitrates, phosphates. No one thought to stick that into the Colorado contract, so now we're having to go back again and we're having to talk about water quality that's being released to the state of Kansas, because now we're dealing with those issues. So.
Colorado's also hitting Nebraska on the Platte River. They're sucking it dry completely.
Yeah.
In the end, it's about water.
That's not true.
I believe all of you have my information. If not, I'm at the USDA office out by the water tower here in town. If anybody wants to contact the office, you can sure reach me. On there most days. If not, I'm out in the field and I'll come back eventually. Especially if it's hot out. But if you have any questions or if anyone would like to contact me, please feel free to do that. Our next meeting for the Kansas Water Authority is going to be in August. I've decided that I will be present now. As vice chair, I'm not required to be present, the chairman is, but I've decided that I'm going to be attending all the Kansas Water Authority meetings. And our next Neosho Regional Advisory Council meeting is going to be in Emporia on July 12th. So I have to go to that one, so.
Commissioner Dahlke, you've been brought up to speed. Where the rest of us were, was we'd like to move forward with a public meeting of the stakeholders to get information from Lisa directly. So City of Peabody, Hillsborough, Marion, and 2 commissioners. Are there to be a couple commissioners who want to head it up? No?
I can contact Matt.
Okay.
Just have him contact you and have him set the date.
Okay. Would that be all right to have, the commissioners will contact the stakeholders, they'll contact you, and then?
Yeah, and what I'll try to do is I'll get as much information together as I can about the Lower Smoky and how they
Right.
put theirs together. I'll also try and have someone from the Kansas Water Office present that could field questions and have information for them on that. So it is something where we're asking the state of Kansas to allow us to have a percentage of the water that they've bought and paid for. So we kind of need to have our stuff together, but I'll try and do everything I can.
Okay.
Would you want to try to facilitate that meeting right here? You don't have much space, do you?
We can probably get 12 in the office there.
Oh, okay.
We can get 12 people in the conference room there. I don't know that will be allowed just because it is a federal building. If not, we can have it at the county lake hall. Because as the federal government itself we're not allowed to show any partiality into any
Sure.
program or movement. So we can have it at just about anywhere though.
Okay. Was there any commissioner wanting to take the lead on that, or if you don't, I will.
Well, I think if you're gonna have a meeting, then we need to know the meeting day.
Right.
Of that stuff first before.
I'd be willing to attend the meeting.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a changeover in the city government in Peabody.
Okay.
So I'd like to communicate that to the whole council.
Yep.
Will there be any other additional changeovers in administrators in the Hillsborough, Marion, and Peabody areas, just in you?
There's a heck of a changeover in Peabody.
Okay,
Marriage
knows?
rate,
It won't be till January.
That, huh?
That happens in,
Yeah,
that
January.
happens in January.
that happens in
Right.
January, okay.
But there's gonna be somebody new sitting at the mayor's spot.
Well, whoever the current
Or
one
could be.
The current one should be
Yeah.
informed of.
Yeah.
Right.
Lisa, did you have your contact information?
I don't, I have everything else on there, but I have that. I can put it for the minutes, so I can give my office number, if that would be okay.
Office number's fine.
Okay. It's 620-382-3714, and our extension is 3.
Attention what?
3.
Very good. Well, thanks for
Yep.
educating us and informing us about what's going on.
Not a
A
problem.
lot of things that we weren't aware of.
Yeah, she told me that, so I didn't know who owned the water.
Yeah, I'd heard it from somewhere, that something was up, but I didn't,
Well, we
I
hear
don't
bits
remember where I heard it.
in pieces, but
And
Lisa.
somebody was 20% of it downstream, you know, which,
But the
there's
state
a
would make
lot of
that
building
decision.
going on.
Yeah.
They do. We're considered, our water is in the state marketing plan, and that's what they use to make money for the Kansas Water Office. So our water can be marketed downstream at a just recently set amount.
I would think all of those irrigators above the reservoir would be concerned about that, because if the lake gets drained down,
We
I
have
would
talked
think
to
it'd
them
affect
up
their
there.
wells. Some of those wells are right there.
Yeah, and they're obviously drawing from that water, but myself and Matt Meyerhoff in my office, we have talked to numerous producers that are irrigating out of there. And we couldn't get anyone to bite up on setting an irrigation district, and I'm
They're
not
scared
sure
of more
what.
regs.
I think that's probably it. I think that's probably the issue, is having an actual official entity comes with the paperwork that goes with it, but. Well, if there's anything else, please let me know. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you again.
I'll give you an update, after, I'll talk to Kent prior to that. We'll see if we can get something put together. I'm sure I'll talk to the cities. But I will, if you guys are okay, I'll ask to be put on the agenda for probably after the October Kansas Water Advisory Council.
Give us a reminder when it gets closer.
I will do that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Very nice.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Got a lot at stake. All right, let's move into the executive search proposals. Tina, I really appreciate the spreadsheet
Yes.
you put together. That is very, very efficient, very helpful. Thank you.
So generally, you know, when we're evaluating an RFP for engineering or for anything, we try to assign rankings or do points based on what we said we would be evaluating in the RFP. And
Right.
so that's the columns where I have left the blanks there, that's for you to rank them based on your opinion. So all of them are 1 through 10, except for the pink column, which is the very last one. That was just the overall quality and of what they presented, and that's a 1 through 5, because that was a one that we said we are evaluating responses upon, based on. So the idea would be that each commissioner would look at each firm's information and give a score of 1 through 10 for each area that's on the sheet. Looks like we lost our internet. That's the third
Server
thing.
is
That's the
lost.
third one, so.
Yeah, that's the third thing.
Air conditioner, elevator. It's
been
Monday.
It's been a Monday already, so.
Is that a reference to death comes in 3, you said?
Yes. Yes, bad things coming through. Just they're not supposed to be on one day.
I might as well get them out of the way on the first day of the week.
Yay, the rest of the weeks would be great. Okay.
Back.
I'm gonna try to get out of the meeting and get back.
Looks like it came back.
Oh. Did it?
Have commissioners had a chance to fully review, or would you like a few minutes? Or how would you like to proceed? You're ready? Ooh.
Generator kicked in.
Yeah, it sure did. Oh, for goodness sake.
It'll be a good day.
Good thing there's generator.
Hopefully that electric thing
Joe
didn't mess up our air conditioning.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
once you put
fine.
it down. Just humming everywhere now. Don't you about left the generator this morning?
I'm gonna end the
Ran
meeting
into
and
the
try to get
doctor's
back
office
on.
with the
Okay.
car.
Which doctor? Oh,
We got the big one sitting. They went right into the office.
I'm gonna try to go to
the agenda came out.
Wi-Fi. Do y'all need I mean, you should be able to access the information on each firm that I sent you in your email because you would have already received that, so you should be able to access just on,
Right.
by being offline.
Brochures.
Yep.
Let's see, the password. For that one. Wi-Fi.
We wanting to take action today on that?
Well, I think we're offline, yeah.
Oh, well,
So if we can
oh. I
talk
see.
generalities, just not talk, you know what I mean?
Okay, I'll shut up.
We can talk about non-business.
Got the press here. Must be like on, she could be an online reference.
I don't really wanna get on the guest Wi-Fi, but
Looks like, well, maybe mine's still up. I still got, oh,
well, we still have phones, because we're not on our internet phones. Yay.
no boy.
Nope, that's why I don't want it. But,
My guess Wi-Fi is still hot.
My laptop's not.
mhm.
On the phone.
Are you sure you're not on, just mobile?
No internet connection.
Mhm. Yeah, so we
Still
won't be
going.
able to continue with the virtual meeting, but, I mean, you still have a meeting going, so.
Okay, so we can continue with the meeting? All
We
right.
just can't continue with the virtual right now.
All right, turn it back to Kent. You had a comment?
Oh, I just wondered, are we planning on finalizing it?
So we're scoring today.
Well, I think we have our proposals. The commissioners have had it for a week. Unless there's a reason to delay, I would think we'd move ahead with the decision and move forward.
Or at least narrow down if you want
Uh,
to interview or do
That-
anything.
That's true. There was a
Mhm.
comment earlier about interviewing. Is there a desire to pick the top 2 or 3 and interview, or do you want to, is that what you want to do?
I just, you don't know what one offers versus the other. I mean, they say it in there, but sometimes it's the old personal touch.
And then I put, like, on the one column about the references.
Yes.
You know, do you want to designate someone to follow up with that and then provide a ranking, or how do you want, I didn't know how you wanted to do that, so.
so I'm not hearing much direction from the commission. There's pretty much silence out there. Just drop it?
No,
You wanna contact references? I do.
I definitely want Kansas League.
So can you give them a score based on their proposal in each category? And then we can add the scores up, and then we can determine who has the highest, and that might help you narrow down who to interview.
Thank you.
I mean, if that's the way we typically would do it on an RFP, even if you are comfortable doing that, I mean, if you wanna have a ranking committee, or if you wanna just give it feedback.
I guess I thought I was gonna get more feedback, but we're not getting anything, so.
Well, at the beginning, I was thinking we only had 4, so. I wouldn't
We
mind
do
having-
have 4.
There's 4.
Oh,
Wouldn't mind having all 4 of them. If there was 10 of them, then it'd be like,
So the one
we need
from,
to iron it down.
the ones from out of state, what will that cost for them to come in?
well, I would think that if you're gonna interview them, it would be a video, a
Yes.
virtual interview.
Yes.
Be online.
All right, so you wanna interview all 4 of them online?
Yep.
All right, we'll set up online interviews with all 4 of them. That's what I hear.
Just. We can rank them though. We can go
I
down
mean,
to 2.
why interview them if you're not gonna use them? Or-
I mean, I would think that there's maybe at least one that you could rule out. I mean, when I was looking at it, I felt like there was potentially one that might not have
There's
as much related experience as the others, but.
All right, let's go through them one by one. The first one is, agent's name is League of Kansas Municipalities. Do you want to interview them?
Yes.
Okay, we've got one we're going to interview.
Okay.
The second one is GovHR USA.
I believe that one was a referral from a person at WSU that didn't have time to submit for ours.
Is that the single person company?
No.
No. Okay.
There's some experience
Yeah,
from which
Sister County.
I think it
The
might.
experience they've had in Kansas has been Wyandotte County.
Yeah.
But at least they have a Kansas County.
Some-
And that, I think they have a lot of other experience. Okay, I think we might be back up. Yay.
Okay, how many votes to interview the second company?
Third highest.
None? Okay, we will not interview the second one. All right, let's move to the third one. That's academic partners.
I like them because it says recognized rural county relevance.
Okay. So would the commission like to interview number 3?
Yep.
Okay, number 3, we will schedule for.
Is that the one from New York?
Yes.
Yes, single person.
Okay.
And then number 4.
Is that the one you guys use, Randy?
No. What is that? Big Utilities. What is that? Is that a town or is that a person's name down
It's
here?
a company.
That's a company.
Did we rule that one out?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Okay. So that's a,
Going through it, I guess. Let me see, number 1.
Okay, what I've got from commissioners is they want to schedule interviews with Kansas League Municipalities and Pracademic Partners. Is that correct?
We start off with that, if we don't like them, we go on.
Let's schedule interviews with those two. I see Bryce is here. Ready to move into Road and Bridge?
If you are.
Yep.
Got 3 utility permits. Home communication and Vibe broadband.
Okay, let's do all 3 one at a time. I move to approve permit number 23-17 for Vive broadband from Remington and 210th to East Shore.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gary. Discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Permit number 23-18, home communications. Long County Right of Road 210th in Alamo. Approximately 3.2 miles. I move to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gary. Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Permit number 23-19, home communications along 210th and Alamo. Looks like it's the exact same one.
There's 3, 2.
210, we going into Lehigh.
Okay, it shows the exact
It's
same.
next, okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. I thought they were separate ones, so.
Yeah.
They're the same one, so.
210th and Alamo, 1919 south, 1 east, 3.2 miles east, 126 210th Avenue.
Okay.
They're both the same.
Yep, disregard that.
Okay, just the 2. All right.
All right, I heard you talk earlier, you talked about the payment on Kansas paving.
Mhm.
Was there any questions about that?
Just wanted to wait for you in the room.
Okay.
The pay application number 2, the amount is $666,395.10.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Garing, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Becker. Discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
The plan is to be able to finish paving the part over the bridge right north of Ag Service, as well as the tie-in to 190th this week. And then next week, they will come in, saw steel, and hopefully put in edge wedge, so barring any problems, in the next week, we should have it open from 190th south. That's the plan. Then they will also, starting next week, we'll start paving again, north of 190th. That's ready, clear up to the ag building, or up to the co-op building. So,
They held off there and harvest right here, right?
well, you know, you never can predict wind and everything else, and,
Usually just.
even though Zach originally, Zach Collett was one that originally made all the arrangements and everything else, we had 2 landowners call, or 2 farmers call us and say, hey, I need to get in. Said, no problem, we got them right in, so communication's been great. So, working with Ag Service has been great down there as well, so. So anyway, they're getting with it. I believe Tina also sent you the authority to award letter for the 5127 project.
Mhm.
Okay.
A little higher than I thought.
Yeah, it was, and, you know, at the time, you never know with these small projects. that, they're, like everything else, they still have to truck it all in.
Yeah.
So, pretty small quantity and everything, but,
It wasn't,
Usually we don't have
it
these.
wasn't mills, but I mean, it was.
right.
It was higher.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, that's, and they were, I mean, you saw what the bid tabs were.
Yeah.
They were still 22,000 less than second.
Yeah.
So, but if there's no questions, I guess, and so, I don't know whether,
Did you
Tina
want
did.
to have action to accept or to approve?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Gearing made a motion to accept. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Questions? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
And I think when I sent you a message last week, they're still planning on doing it this year. They've got those widenings down on Highway 50, so they'll be doing it about the same time. So, obviously it has to be officially awarded and approved and everything else by KDOT, so that'll be probably a good 3 to 4 weeks. So this is just the starting of that. I got the project manager for the project on 190th and Nighthawk. I stopped in as well last week, and they're still planning on doing that project this year, probably in the September range. So, got inspection lined up for that as well. This one here will be inspected as well. So-
There's some business cards here for Nighthawk and 190th. Is that-
Okay, yes, that's for you. From Dan Bergeron, I believe. Yep. The cruise, we had planned to blade patch today, and then everybody decided they wanted to take off today for harvest or whatever else it was, so I had 4 calls in about 10 minutes, said, hey, I need to take off today, so unfortunately we weren't able to blade patch today, but I'm hoping we can get back into it tomorrow. They should be going west on 330th for those patching areas.
Tina, you got one?
I'm sorry, I should say you.
That's okay.
Who's this guy? He is the estimated project manager for Bruce Davis Construction. They are the prime contractor for the Nighthawk and 190th project. So, as far as blade patch, I mean, that's pretty much it. We are getting Buildex material delivered for chip seal, starting today at Pilsen. So, we got that in the process
Got a
as
few
well.
mounds sitting at Pilsen.
What's that?
Got a few mounds of things sitting at
Yes,
Pilsen.
yes, there is.
I was just come through there yesterday.
Yeah.
Or Saturday.
I asked Vance Brothers if they were done because they were gonna start crowding us out of there pretty soon, and they said they've got everything done. I will tell you that, City of Hillsborough is going to be doing some of this. Gossel may be doing some of this. The City of Marion has actually looked into it, and the building inspector here was actually promoting it to Harrington as well. So they may move in here and be here for a couple
Good.
months. So I've contacted Peabody and Florence and everybody else, and I don't know whether they are, but,
So Goss was thinking about it.
yeah.
I don't know what they came up with.
I don't know either. Well, he had, project manager for Vance Brothers said that they were thinking about going right through town.
Mhm.
And I said, well, I know they tried a C-clip project here a couple years ago and didn't get it, but I don't know if they tried to resubmit it or not. So, but, so,
So you're getting a sales commission on that?
yeah, no,
But the product did perform well on where it was used.
well, and you know, it works really well for city streets as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's,
The surface cracks come back, but they come back way smaller.
yeah,
So it still needs to be sealed, but
yeah,
they,
but it's
that
better.
much seal rather than not much seal.
Yeah,
I
so,
guess my curiosity is gonna be how it holds up on our roads that have less.
well,
Base.
and you know, we'll have to find out. I still say it's a better product than just a chip seal.
Mhm.
It's not to the point of the overlay, but obviously you can see what the price of the overlays are,
Yes.
so, or their asphalt work, so.
Very good.
But otherwise, that's it, unless you guys have anything else.
People have been asking me about mowing.
Okay?
Do we have anybody?
We have the individual guys that are mowing when they're not on their blades. We don't have anybody lined up full-time, like obviously we did last year. It's a shame, it'd be nice to have that, but the guys, I know one of them's out mowing today on 190th. So,
You don't have to mow if you just keep letting the fiber move in. Seen that down Falcon. Those are just
yep.
flattened everything.
Yep. So, again, I've talked to several retirees and stuff like that to see if they'd be interested, and just nobody really, nobody wants to drive a tractor in, I guess.
It's not a fun job.
Yeah, I talked to one today, he said, nope, too many people, my boss.
So,
You don't have to
but
stop.
I really wish we could keep up on it, but it's like everything else. So.
Well, you're gonna see more and more people out with bush hogs, which is not good.
Well, but the thing is we said they can't do that as well.
No, we did, we said they could.
Vegetation.
Vegetation was excluded.
Yep, trees and grass.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that does give us a little more identity.
Right. Especially, okay,
All right,
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let's shift to solid waste fee and resolution discussion. I missed that one. Generator switch back. Okay, let's switch to solid waste.
It's going through a cool down.
So I'm guessing you guys had this discussion last Tuesday? Okay,
A little bit.
What direction are you headed?
Had to raise it 15%.
Okay.
Across the board.
I think it's higher than that. Do the
Well,
math.
15 we took care of, gives back even this year.
Only receipts that we had were 600, not 700. The 700 came from other stuff.
Our solid waste fees generated like 653,000 or something.
So if you do the math with that number, it's closer to a 25%.
I think, Dave, another question you brought up is I've been after businesses too, because we've never done nothing to that.
Right.
But Commissioner Garing feels that we all should, even though the residential's already went up $20, $19 a couple, 4 years ago, but he's wanting to put across to everybody again, so I think that's an answer maybe we need to look at. Just, I mean, I don't know exactly what all business district will raise if we do them. Businesses would raise 15% or 25%. So I think that's just one of the questions we need to answer probably.
So would you think like a hybrid do 25% commercial, 15% residential, 20%,
That
10%?
might work.
I mean, that kind of concept. I'm just throwing a number
Yeah.
out to get the
It
concept.
gets it back to where everybody's just about paid the same then probably. on the raise.
You're not gonna get there as far as need dollars.
Well, I don't.
You could up the commercial 100%, and that would fill your gap. You'd make them pay double what they're paying, and that would fill your gap, because that portion isn't enough to get there.
Not enough industry.
Yes.
So what's the cost on commercial to the county? I mean, I've heard the stories about some of the commercial material that comes in and the mess that it makes and the extra labor it requires. So is there a justifiable higher increase for commercial?
But then you're grouping them all together.
All
There's
commercial.
there's a few of them that you're
Few
talking
of
about,
them.
not all of them.
Right, not all of
Yeah,
them.
my commercial's a lot different than Park Britannia's.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's a huge difference.
And I think
Yes, I
if you
got
look
two
at that-
dumpsters.
Look at that resolution, I don't know that they
But I
have,
think Barkman does pay
A
a
good-
fee.
Yeah, they
I don't know if
pay
the
extra for
resolution
that.
takes care of it either. I mean, the resolution says how much waste you, but if you don't have a police officer,
Right.
how do you know?
I just know the windfall that we had, the dollar amount we needed, that we talked about. The only way you get there is a 25% across the board. Or 100% on commercial only.
I've also seen them unload C and D down there also too, a pickup load, just on the floor,
And no charge.
no charge.
But they throw it in,
Commercial.
they throw it in through the window.
Individual drives up with C and D.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you're talking about
And they got
no
two-thirds
commercial
of
or
the pickup
residential.
load.
It's
He says,
just
I'll just throw it on the
somebody-
floor.
Yeah, and they
Well,
do
how's
that
that-
for
how's that
less,
gonna work?
less than 300 pounds or something.
I mean,
Well,
if we're not policing
that's the
things
kinda
down there.
Unwritten rule.
unwritten rule or something, but if it's late in the day, and now you ain't got too much, before 5 years ago or so, it was still unwritten, just, oh, go ahead, throw it in, you know, so. If there was some charges down there, like what Kent's saying, about things like that, I don't know that it would be enough by any means, but I'm just saying, we're pretty generous on what goes down there if you're a residential customer, and then the closer you live to where the transfer station is, the better it is. I mean,
well, I'm just guessing there is a lot of C and D that comes into our transfer station that's not getting charged.
Yeah.
Because I don't go there that often. And the times I've been there, here comes a pickup pulling up. I just go to the window. Well, the last time I was there, it was all C and D
at the window.
at the garage door.
Yeah.
You know, we keep talking about raising. How about some efficiency
Yeah.
that creates some additional income? I mean, we're in a time, I just hate another tax. You got all these people in Marion County on fixed income. I mean, we're gonna go back to trash burners, we're gonna allow that, of course, that'd be up to the city. I mean, well, you look at our overall budget, we're gonna have to create some efficiencies in this county and quit talking about all the time, raise.
We're gonna have to educate me a little bit more.
But all the other utilities to your home, electric, gas, have gone up.
So on.
I'm just talking about what we can control.
So on C and D, there's no charge?
Now, see,
There is.
there is a charge.
Oh, but
they're
they
not-
put it
if
in
it's not a big amount, great big amount, they just
Okay.
said, throw it out.
If you go across the
Okay,
scale,
And-
then there's no charge.
The one that I saw pull up was a whole pickup load,
Okay.
just backed up and started throwing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the C and D charge? Is it per ton?
50 a ton.
50 a ton.
45 or 50 a ton.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, how much money have we lost, basically, over the year? I mean, there's no way of knowing, but I'm just saying, no, more often than I go, and I've seen it almost every time I've gone.
Well,
Well-
recycling, we charge a minimum.
Kent's been to McPherson. Has any other three been to McPherson you have, gentlemen?
I drove by this morning, there's a line of probably 10 vehicles waiting to
Wait.
weigh.
Well, what I was getting at, their window is controlled. I mean, they
Yeah.
control, you
You
don't
come in
throw
through
none
the
of the
scale.
trash in
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it's.
So everything goes over there. so-
Everything goes,
Or we just drive up the hill and start
they
chucking.
they have the tower guy out there, and he controls where that goes. I mean, I'm not
Well, they'll tell
advocating,
you, they'll
but
tell you
that's-
what gate to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, tells you what you're going to, so theirs is controlled a heck of a lot more. The day that Kent and I was there.
They're also a
They're bigger.
quasi-governmental, for-profit. We should be, but they're funded with tax dollars, but they're also funded through their trash service. I can't, it's a quasi-governmental entity there, so it's not actually tied to McPherson, it's,
but you're just talking $10 or $20 a household.
well,
Per year.
the way they run it is basically like, they've gotta make a profit. They
Yeah.
have to, they can't just rely on taxes.
Taxes.
Okay, so the goal of this discussion is to raise how much money?
We gotta raise about 110.
110,000, either through raising fees or efficiency.
I don't know if you get there through efficiency.
How about
I think you'd be shocked
How
if
about
we were actually up there
efficiencies
policing.
just within our system? I mean, sure, it's nice to have a Bobcat. There we just spent 70,000. We just
Yeah.
spent that.
Well,
One year of salary. for the
And
Bobcat.
honestly, what would the shortfall be if we weren't having the building painted. Right, this new building, so once it's paid for, are we actually okay ahead of the game? Are we being too proactive in thinking we're falling behind, but then once the building's paid for, now we're catching back up?
How many years of building?
What was the lease purchase for?
10 or 5?
10, wasn't it? 10-year lease.
So,
We're in
been a
what?
few years.
We're only into this,
Third of the year maybe?
we're in the 3rd year?
Yeah, probably. But what you've seen, if you look back those 3 years that Tina gave us, we're going down. We're falling in a hole.
Yeah.
So, yes, that payment has hurt, but operational cost has hurt too.
Yeah, so I just wondered, after 10 years, do you come back out
Well,
by that amount? Because if you raise rates now, then now all of a sudden you don't cut rates later.
You need equipment by then.
oh.
Oh, you never cut rates. I've never
Right.
known
Yeah.
that.
That's what
not
I'm
gonna
saying.
happen.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, is it gonna do this, but then go like that, and then balance out?
Because the way we go through equipment down there,
All right, is there a recommendation or proposal?
I don't think I can make a smart one.
Okay, just, do you like, we talk about it next week?
Well, I don't know how to find a smart.
We ain't got time.
To give you
We've got a,
yeah, July is coming
yeah.
up.
We probably need to have a resolution passed today or Friday.
Oh,
That's today.
this is the last week of the month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys had your discussion last week, and what direction you wanna go?
Well, you mentioned something too, 1% resident or business, we have not done nothing for, how many? Commercial for, ever since the get-go. I mean, we gotta do something there, there's gotta be something.
when did we raise the residential? 2 years ago?
3 or 4 years ago.
2017.
17.
Isn't that what? Isn't that-
That's what I saw.
Time
I
flies.
don't
It took
remember.
effect,
I mean,
it
I
took
gave you
effect
that
in 18.
information.
It took effect in 18.
3
It was
years.
17.
18.
So in other words, if I say 3 years, it's 6.
That's what my math
Sorry,
is.
maybe I misspoke. I'll look at the paper.
I see.
It's possible.
I'm sure you're right.
It was just, I think Randy and I were the only ones.
Okay, so it was in 2018,
Eight.
and it took effect in 2019.
Oh,
So that gets you 1 year closer.
There you go, you gotta pass it the year, 6 months ahead of time. Well, I don't know, Johnny, is 25%? Would you like to do it one time and not have to do nothing again?
Yeah.
Or would you want to stair step into it if we do it this year and see what next year brings? Well, we won't know till the end of the year, we wouldn't know, would we?
It's okay.
So
More
the-
Well,
efficient.
it's been taking about 100,000 hit, but this year we're upside down, we see it black and white. But the years before, the cash forward's been dropping by 100,000.
Right, correct.
So-
100,000.
So it'd go from, a 25% increase on commercial would go from 132 per unit to 165 per unit.
Yeah. 25% on residential would go from 100 to 125.
Which is $10.42 a month
For
for residential.
residential.
That's what I'm.
Total.
Yeah. I'd do 25% across the board.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gehring. Does this have to be a resolution or
Yeah.
a motion to draft a resolution?
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Gehring made a motion to draft a resolution for solid waste fees to go up 25%. That's residential and commercial. So, for an example, it would be commercial going 132 to 165, residential 100 to 125. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot, discussion.
I'd rather phase that in over 2 years and start looking for some efficiencies, because we have yet to look for any efficiencies.
We needed the efficiencies also, because next year we're gonna have more expenses. This is to get us back.
Well, if that's all we ever talk about is expenses and not how to be more efficient, that's all we're ever gonna do is keep raising.
Any other discussion?
When you say efficiencies, Kent, leadership's gonna be a big thing. we're gonna have to
Well,
implement it.
it starts with your, it starts
Yeah.
with the department head, there's no doubt about
And
that,
it's-
but,
It's gonna be,
our department head has a little unique position, he's not there all the time.
He's
Yeah.
already there.
So
20% of the departments.
it does put,
and it's, somebody's gonna have to lay out a plan and bring it back to us to see whether we're gonna like the plan, whether we're not gonna like the plan. Whether, just what you said, pull up to the side door and wants to throw that in, minimum $25, minimum $30, I don't know, some minimum fees. There was talk when we was building the building, or thinking about building the building, that anybody that come inside the building to dump C&D or anything like that was a minimum.
Tipping fee. Yeah, there
Minimum
was
fee.
a floor fee.
Floor fee and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so that's how I think we can start raising some, Ken. I don't know how much we can raise, but.
I just hate just keep
Yeah. People that use
funding
it
more
need to pay.
tax.
So this additional fee you're talking about, does it have to be part of the resolution, or can that be done at
No.
any time? Okay.
That can- okay.
That can be done,
That
that
can
can be
start
added
the
as
movement.
later.
That's just policy.
Okay.
I think that's already there.
All right, all right.
Just
Okay,
needs to be
Any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Becker opposed. All right. I see we have Kansas Legal Service here.
Yeah, I'm early.
And we are ready, if you're ready.
Yep, can I pull up a chair?
If you would, please come. We are.
Oh, there we go.
I want you to sit right over here.
I'm in a bad knee.
Uh-oh.
And
Okay.
standing up.
No,
feels-
we
Oh,
wouldn't make you stand.
Take your time, whatever you take care of.
Coffee County now makes you stand.
Really?
Yes, that's horrible.
Maybe we should do that for public comments.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's by
That makes
design.
it shorter speech
yeah.
that way.
Sorry.
Now,
What do you have for us today?
A lot of stuff.
All right.
I think that's enough for everybody.
Okay.
Hope we got one in there for you too.
Okay.
Send some more around, please.
I got one more coming. How many more you need?
There we go. Just get one for Randy and then we're good.
Okay. I just need one.
One more?
Yep.
There we go.
Thank you, Ty.
There's 6. Well, there should be 1 to 6 here. There you go. Anyway, print out one for me. Okay, I'm from Kansas Legal Services. I come to talk to you every year about sticking my hand out and asking for money and help.
Yes.
This last year has probably been the hardest year since I've been at KLS in 30 years. We had an experienced attorney that the Lyon County Commission hired away.
Oh.
I tried to match the salary, and then she told me that the county commissioner had told her the assistant county commissioner is retiring, the county commissioner is retiring, and by this time next year, she'll be making $140,000.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I can't match that. And hiring a new attorney in anywhere in rural Kansas is a bear.
Yes.
When I graduated law school, there were 230 kids in my class. There were 97 this year.
97.
And of that, only 2 did not have job offers by the time they got their bar results. That doesn't give us a lot of people to choose from, and trying to get them to come to Emporia, Kansas, and taking a job working for legal services doesn't happen very often. You have to have somebody who, one, probably has no student debt, because, if they are small student debt, because if they come to Emporia, they work here 10 years at legal services, the federal government will come in and pay off their student debt. But they gotta commit to working there for 10 years. And that's hard for a lot of young people to do. Most people that go to law school, they wanna go out and move to Kansas City, move to Topeka, move to Wichita, and work for a big firm, work ridiculous hours and make lots of money. I can probably leave legal services now and go make 5 times more I'm making. It's hard. When I came to Emporia, there were 46 members of the bar. There are now 19. 6 of those are in the county attorneys and work for the county. Marion County, I don't, you have Bob Bodkin that's here in town.
Brookings?
I think, Bob Brookings.
Yeah.
I think that's the only person in town.
Brian Bean.
But
Oh, he's out in McPherson
He's
now.
not, he's not in town.
Oh, that's.
He's not in town.
He has an office.
That's.
When I come to court here for court appointed
Yes.
work, it's like a Lyon County bar meeting. You got Chris Ambrose, you got Brian Williams, you got Steve Atherton, you got me. So anyway, Chase County, Bill North, or Bill Howerson. The only practicing attorney, he's a county attorney. Morris County has 2 attorneys in private practice, one of which is under indictment. And then his wife, and I don't see a lot of people beating their path to his doorway, or their doorways.
She might be involved too,
Maybe, he got in trouble for trying to run over a city commissioner with his semi-truck. And he paid a client off to take the fall. And the client, the last day, said, no, I don't wanna do this. So, be careful who you make mad.
Yeah.
Be careful who you make
Small
mad.
town politics.
But we try to be an attorney for people who can't afford an attorney anywhere else. I try not to compete with the private bar, but the only cases I compete with the private bar on are appointed defense cases. And Judge Powers asked me to come over here and do work because getting attorneys over here to do work was hard.
Right.
Morris County's done the same thing. We got a contract with them to do public defender work. Lyon County, same thing. City of Burlington, we do some public defender work. But otherwise, we do the traditional legal services stuff. We try to be the attorney for people who can't afford or can't access the justice system. Because let me tell you, if you can't access the justice system, you don't get justice. We did a legal needs survey with the social work department at KU about 3 years ago, and they came back and said 80% of the poverty level clients had a legal need. Less than 20% sought legal services. The number one reason, they didn't think it would help. Number 2 was they thought it was too expensive. That's sort of sad. I mean, if you're getting divorced, you're being evicted, you're got a consumer fraud issue, you need an attorney. I always get very upset when I go to court and watch somebody come in without an attorney. There's an attorney on the other side and they just get taken advantage of. And, you know, if we were where we should be, I'd probably have 6 attorneys in my office. Right now I've got 2. I'm advertising for 1 more. We've got a new executive director that he says I should be up to 5 attorneys within the next year. We'll see if that ever happens. I don't know if we can find that many people. But we do a lot of legal services work over here in Marion County. Last year, we did 15 civil cases. The year before, we did 19. But for about 8 months out of last year, I was the only attorney in the office. I was pretty excited that we kept about the same numbers in almost every county as we'd done the year before with 3 attorneys. It's got me working a little bit too much, but thank God my children have grown and I don't have a wife to, you know, cater to anymore. So, you know, if I want to come down to the office on a Sunday or Saturday and work 6-7 hours, I can get more done in a couple hours at work when nobody's there than I can get done in a whole day when people are there. Because the phone rings, people are coming in asking questions. When I don't have that problem, I can get a lot of work done. The cases we did in Marion County last year, 1 disability case, we were successful in it. And we don't do adult Social Security cases anymore. We moved those all to Topeka, Kansas City, and Wichita because that's where the hearings are. We kept the kids' cases local because if kids got to come meet with their attorney, we don't want them having to drive to Kansas City or Wichita. Disability cases are still difficult. If you're filing for a hearing in Wichita, got almost a 3-year wait, 35 months right now. Wichita is about 19 and Topeka is like 13. That's ridiculous. If you're on disability or applying for disability, that means you probably can't work. That means you're relying on friends and family to help you get through that year or so. It's sad. It used to be the state of Kansas provided some assistance, gave a medical card, provided some general assistance, like $90 a month. But at least it was something. Now, you get no medical assistance, you get no food stamps until you get on disability. And now the pay goes back to when you applied, but that doesn't help you after the fact. I gotta pay my rent today. So a lot of people are living with friends and family, couch surfing, homeless. We got a process to sort of expedite homelessness cases, but it still takes a year to get done. So it's pretty difficult. Post-divorce cases, we did 1 over in Marion County last year. Divorces, we did 6. Guardianships, we did 1. And protection cases, we did 6. A protection case is like getting a restraining order in a PFA or PFS. Marion counties have been hotly contested PFAs. The defendants in Marion County really don't think they should get a PFA. I think a lot of them are worried about their gun rights, because if you have a finding that you committed an act of domestic violence and it was in a court and you had an opportunity to appear, a lot of people believe that kicks in Brady. I think a strict reading of Brady says it does, but only like 6 people under the last administration were ever prosecuted for a Brady violation. Purchasing guns gets you in trouble, but just having a firearm, they don't do much about it. If you ask the attorneys up and down the street, I think when the stuff we do as well as anybody. If we want to get somebody safe, we want to get somebody divorced, want to fight over the house, fight over the kids, we're great. If somebody comes into me and they got a couple $1 million estate, I might go into court and give them a restraining order and say, go hire a private attorney to do your divorce, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight over stuff. I don't want to fight over assets. There's probably a private attorney somewhere that's willing to take that case. Now, we do some public defender work here in Marion County. Last year we did 49 of them. The year before, I think we did 30 of them. So that's going up. Part of that is because there are less attorneys on the list to do them. You know, if you go to the counties around here, there's no attorneys. I mean, it's pretty stark, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Until they convince students that they want to go to law school, until the law schools open up their process. And right now, I don't think that's going to happen, because the law schools get ranked based on their placement criteria. And I will tell you, it's a lot easier to place 97 kids than 230. I mean, I came to legal service because I wanted to be in court. I wanted to go to court. And legal services in Emporia allows me to do that. I probably spend 20 hours a week in court. I'm hoping things get easier for us here in the future. I like coming over to Marion County. I like your judges. Judge Robson is turning out to be really good. Judge Vire, I think will be good. She's brand new, so I'm trying to figure her out still. I've known her for years as a prosecutor. Just getting used to her as a judge. She's very particular and goes through all the data. Judge Robson a little bit too. Judge Sexton, who's your chief judge, is amazing. He's probably my favorite judge. He's very kid-centric. He cares about the kids more than he cares about the parents. He cares about the kids more than he cares about the property or anything else. If you come into court and say, my kid, he is going to give you a lecture. It is our child. It is not my kid. And if you're an attorney and say, my client's child, ooh, watch out. You're going to get a lecture up one side, down the other side. And if you're going to fight in front of your kids, he's going to give you a lecture about cortisol rates and obesity and diabetes and all kinds of stuff that kids get when their parents fight and are mean to each other. So it's great practicing the law over here. But one of the reasons I like being in Emporia is we get along with all our bar members really well. There's only one attorney in my service area where I got to count my fingers after I shake his hand. All the rest, I can call up and say, hey, I need your client's pay stub so we can calculate child support, and they email it to me. 2 or 3 days later, I got it. When I go up and review attorneys in Kansas City, which I used to do a lot, don't do as much anymore, but I used to go up to Kansas City and review attorneys. I'm looking at divorce cases and why are they taking so long? My divorce cases take about 7 or 8 hours total of attorney time. Kansas City takes 30 some hours of attorney time. And I started looking closer at their cases. They do requests to admit, interrogatories, depositions. They fight everything. There's not a temporary order that gets filed that somebody doesn't file an objection to. I think I filed an objection to temporary orders in maybe 1 out of 20 cases. And usually I can call the other side and say, hey, can we agree to change this? You got my client's income wrong. You got, you know, the kids have been with my client for 3 years that they've been separated. Why are you saying your client should have custody? And usually I get, oh, okay, we'll get it done. If there's anybody in your service area comes to you with a legal question, send them to me. If I don't know the answer, I can't help them, I know who can. We have 56 attorneys in KLS. We're the second largest law firm in the state. That means if I have somebody that comes to me with a housing problem, I can call Casey in the Kansas City office. He's been doing public housing and housing issues almost exclusively for 20 years. If I've got a domestic issue, somebody can call me, or I can call Rhonda down in Wichita. Both of us have been doing it 30 some years. There aren't many issues we don't know about. If we don't know, usually we know who to send to. If you got a big tax issue and you give me a call, I'm sending you Roger Allen up at K-State. He knows everything about tax law, more than the tax law professors. If you need immigration, we send you to Sharma Conifer in Kansas City. They know immigration down pat. When I got a criminal that has a case that might affect their immigration, I call them. A day later, I get a memo saying, hey, if he pleads to this, he's going to get deported. If he pleads this, he's not going to get deported. And it's the difference between if his sentence is over a year. So if he gets 364 days in jail, that will not get him deported. If he gets 1 year and put on probation, that gets him deported.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
I didn't know anybody got deported anymore.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
ICE is common in our jail. A lot of times the jail who calls ICE and says, hey, we got one, and they come get them. Now, they go down, they're back 6
Walk
months
back
later.
in.
Yeah, they're back 6 months later. I've had one client, he's been deported like 6, 7 times. And every time he comes back, he commits crimes. So,
Physically fit,
yes.
you gotta be.
I have a question, Todd.
Yeah.
Children's disability. Just
Yeah.
Give me just broad range of age-wise that children go on disability, and do they stay there for
1 to 18.
1 to 18?
Defense. We say that we count their benefits as lasting for 3 years, because that's when they review the benefits to make sure that they send a letter out to the doctor says, is this child still disabled? If they say baby or no, they have a hearing again.
Okay.
If they say yes, they just continue on. A lot of my clients, they're on forever, especially kids. I mean, if you've got a child with can't see, vision problems,
Yeah.
you got a child with amputee in a wheelchair.
Okay.
The hard ones are the mental health ones,
Oh.
because a lot of parents will come in and tell me, oh, my child has ADA, it's horrible. And I take a look and I send letters to the doctors and say, please fill this out. I send a letter to the teacher, please fill this out, and I get the whole thing back. And in both cases, they say, this child's out of control because he has no parenting. That's not a case I'm gonna win. I'm gonna send that one back and say, hey, I can't help him. And that's unique, because a lot of disability attorneys, they make their money by just being a workshop. I mean, they're going right through. We see some attorneys, I get to talk to them when we're at the hearings, and the first time they've ever actually met with the client is at the hearing or before the hearing. And they've got a standard list of questions they ask in every case. I don't really practice that way. I meet with the client, I talk to the client, I talk to the doctors, I send medical requests, I send records in. I don't try to take a disability case that I can't win. But it's getting harder and harder to win up cases. Topeka has got the lowest payment rate in the country. Not in the state, but in the country. They pay out about 26% of the claims that get filed with Topeka. They pay out about 70% if you have an attorney. So not having an attorney is an extreme disadvantage. Mental health, they just don't like mental health cases. A couple of the judges up there have told me they'll get better. We're not talking about a year from now. We're talking about right now. And, you know.
Well, Ty, we appreciate the work you do in representing people with need. I see your request is $4,500.
Yes.
Is that the same as last year?
I think it's $500 more.
Okay.
I think. Can you tell me if I'm right? So my accounting department got one wrong already.
I can look it up.
We'll make sure you ask for enough, huh?
I want $500 more than I got last year. Part of that is because gas has got more expensive than coming over here. And hiring attorneys, we have raised our starting salary for a starting attorney about $15,000 in the last year. We're still lower than the county attorney and still losing staff to other firms. But we're starting to make it where people can actually live and make a decent earning if they want to work in legal services.
We have to have you.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But the burger went from $5 to $10, so where do you?
Yeah,
go?
I know. I'm sure you guys are having the same thing. I mean, prices and everything are going up, and
So did you
People
really,
don't wanna
are
pay-
you really coming out ahead when you get paid more? Probably not.
a
But if
little
you-
bit. Marion County has been very good since COVID. They've gone to a lot of Zoom hearings. And what that means, a lot of times on a 5-10 minute hearing,
You have to
I don't
drive.
have to spend the hour coming over and an hour going back.
Right.
And 25 minutes sitting in court. I can sit at my desk and do all my emails, return calls. Even when I'm in the Zoom waiting room, I'm still returning emails.
Yes.
The allocation last year was 4,500.
Oh, well, that's for fine.
And
I'll send you
so-
amended later.
The previous several years, it was 4,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I would move to approve the request of $4,500 for Kansas Legal Service.
Well, you said you needed 5, right?
I would like 5.
500 more than last year, so 4,500.
4,500 is, no, 4,000 was last year.
No,
No.
4,500.
4,500.
All right.
No.
So what I said was 4,500 is what
This year.
was approved
Last year.
in the current year budget.
Oh, okay, okay,
And but
gotcha.
previous to that, it was 4,000 for
Okay.
several years.
Yeah, because there was like 3 years where I didn't ask for an increase because I knew what you guys were going through
Okay.
with COVID and all the problems.
Yep, yep. Okay, I withdraw my motion, and somebody else have another motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve Kansas Legal Services for $5,000.
Okay,
Second.
You have a motion, Commissioner Becker, second Commissioner Dalkey, to approve Kansas Legal Services in the amount of $5,000.
Thanks, guys.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Now, you can say thank you.
Okay, thanks. I got over here early because there's no construction on Highway 50 anymore.
There isn't.
Really?
No, they finally took it down.
Well, there it saved you 20 minutes.
What? It's
About
been going on
30
for like
minutes.
10 years.
30 minutes the other day, I had court.
They're out there by Prairie Land, it just
Yeah.
never stops.
Yeah, no, they did all the way from Prairie Land about to the
There
Chase
was a
County line.
blacktopper last week, so
Yeah.
that must have got.
Well, very
Now-
good. Thank you,
Now
Todd.
today, Waverly to Anderson was shut down to one lane with a guide car. That took me a good 25 minutes to get through.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Ty. Have a good day.
Okay, on the agenda, there was a commission discussion personnel.
Executive?
I mean, is that Kent's or is
Well,
that?
I
No,
had
that
put-
wasn't
I had
mine.
put one on the.
Okay,
That wasn't
let's do
mine.
Tina's first then,
Okay.
and then we'll do,
That's fine.
and since Brad's not here, we'll just leave the others till next week, unless they sent something. I don't think.
No, I haven't seen anything come
We'll
through.
just do that next week.
So this, instead of just saying personal performance,
Okay,
just say a little more
5
specific.
5 minutes?
That's fine.
Okay. I move we recess to executive session in order to discuss the job performance of a specific employee pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel, with the board and Tina for 5 minutes, 2:08 to 2:13, with open session to resume back in commission chambers following the closed session.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Dalkey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Back at 12:13.
2:13.
2:13. I still can't do that.
You catch your own life, won't you?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made. That concludes the agenda for today. Any public comments? Commission comments? If not, I move to, what?
Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Brad's sick.
Yep.
Yeah. His secretary